Hey everyone, very warm welcome to this video. It's Ollie here. And today I have someone very special called Anatoly, who I'm going to be interviewing about his journey as he has built a six-figure brand with Amazon FBA. Now, Anatoly's done quite a few businesses leading up to him building this brand. And so I wanted to ask him about his journey and also go into a little bit of detail about how he structured his team who helps run the Amazon business, because this is what really excited me when we were having a chat just before this episode. So Anatoly, how are you doing today, man?
Doing amazing, Ollie. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited.
Very welcome. So you mentioned just now you're currently digital nomad living in Portugal. Is that right? How's Portugal?
Yeah, I've been living here for about 3 months. Amazing. I love surfing. And this place is one of the best places to surf right now. Everything is closed, but you can go to the beach and you can surf, and the waves are good, and just enjoying life. I have a 1-year-old. We're hanging out on the beach and just living the dream, I guess. During the pandemic, as much as you can live the dream during pandemic, try and do that.
That's cool. I think that's important,
For sure.
Even though there's restrictions to things you can and can't do, and it all does seem doom and gloom, and it's still going on. Like, you have to kind of just focus on the things that are going well and just
Yes.
do as much of that as you can. So yeah, surfing, I mean, you're not near anyone, you're outdoors,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's I mean, what's the temperature in Portugal now? It must be a bit
It's
cold.
about 18 degrees,
It's
so
not
it's
bad.
not that bad. It was better, but now it's a little bit colder, but I don't mind it. I'm from Vancouver. It rains during the winter, and it's much colder, so I'm fine here.
That's not too
Here's like
bad.
the heaven for me. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's really good.
That's good. I mean, I'm in Sweden. It's already, today was 8 degrees. It's getting
Oh man,
colder and colder. So
yeah.
yeah, it's not good for surfing. Definitely not. So
No.
yeah, I'm really excited to talk about your journey. So um you've been a digital nomad for a while. You started, trying a few different businesses. So tell me, like, when did you decide you wanted to go into business for yourself?
It's a great question. There's a long road getting to there, but I'm gonna keep it very short. So I was born in Latvia, and at some point I went to university in Latvia, and didn't know what to do. I was totally lost. And then at one point there was like 2008, where like economic crisis. I didn't know what to do at all. So at some point I was like, okay, I should probably go somewhere and try a better place. So I went to Canada and starting studying there. Thankfully, my family supported me with that. So I did some studies, and then I changed my career. Like I was. In management before, and then I didn't know what to do because who are gonna manage when I'm gonna finish my school? I didn't know that, but I was totally lost and depressed, and I was like young. I didn't know what to do. At some point, I was like, okay, the one thing I do best is computer programming. So I went in Canada to the college and started doing computer programming, and it went really, really well. So I ended up getting some jobs, really, really good jobs as a software developer, and I still do some freelancing as software developer to get my cash flow so I can invest in my business all the money. But at some point, I realized that working for somebody is always the same thing. You work for somebody, you give the whole your soul to somebody, and then they make some decision and everything goes bad. Either they hire different management and everything goes bad, or they just moved a different direction, didn't get funding. So something outside of your control where you're putting so much your sort of soul into, somebody else just does some decisions that he can't control and goes bad. So I was like, okay, I was on the third startup because I liked startups. It was fun. And this third startup is the same way, got busted as everyone else, that they didn't get funding, or like different management came in and they had different sort of ways of dealing with stuff that disagreed. So I was like, now I think the only way for me to be somewhere and do something is to do it on my own, because I'll be in charge. I'll make those same mistakes, but it's going to be my fault. And I think that's very important for people to understand, that when you work for somebody, well, you don't control your time and don't control how it's going to go. If you're not CEO and it's not your company, well, so much you can do. So at some point I started, okay, I need to do some business. I need to start trying something, even though I'm working for this company that I don't really like. So I started looking online and starting seeing like, what can I do? And I start with like a drop shipping model where you don't need to have any inventory. You can just have some goods, and then somebody buys from your Shopify store, you advertise it on Facebook, let's say, somebody clicks, buys it, and then manufacturer sends it directly to the customer. And then we did that. We chose a product which was very weird. I don't know why we chose it, probably some course we bought. The product was called storage sheds. So like a garages that you need to assemble. And I would never think that people will call me and say, how do I assemble this thing? And I'll be like, I don't know, just a guy with a keyboard trying to make money. So it was terrible. And then essentially we sold a couple of them, but we spent so much time and we learned a lot how to Facebook advertising, how to market, how to negotiate prices. So it was good, but it was not sort of profitable at all. And they were like, we need to find something much, much easier. And they went to print on demand, which is like other spectrum of this, like very, very easy business when you hook up your Shopify store to some print on demand manufacturer, and essentially designer creates you a design for t-shirt. You put like image of the t-shirt online, somebody buys it, and they automatically fulfill it from print on demand. But then the problem there is anyone can do it. You don't require any capital. And then you need to always create those new designs, which was crazy. You need to pay money for designer. They need to do it all. I think you have a good system right now, understanding how systems work. If I would have a really good system and good designers, probably would be profitable. But for us, we're trying to sort of make only like a couple designs work. We didn't want to invest a lot on those designs and didn't work out. So I think we're pretty profitable, but not good. Like maybe, I don't know, $1,000, couple $1,000 probably in revenue, and we'll net out maybe, I don't know, $600-700. It's like not too much. And then at some point we're like, okay, we cannot scale it, and it takes a lot of time, so we had to go and research all the ideas and the designs. That's like too much. So then we bought a course, me and my wife, because when I say we, my wife is my business partner. I'm the one who does strategy and all those crazy ideas, like let's do print on demand, let's sell storage sheds. And she's like, this guy's weird, but let's do it because he's my husband. So something like that. And she's more like oriented to finances. And then we decided to do Amazon. And because at that point, Amazon was like a hot thing. You can just take your inventory, get like manufactured in China, for example, send it to Amazon, and Amazon fulfills it. So you do need to invest some money, but essentially you don't deal with returns, customer, like you don't deal with like advertising on Facebook, which was never my strong suit. This, I think the hardest thing is marketing. If you can market something well, you can sell anything. I'm not good at marketing, and I understand that. So we started doing Amazon, and then we looked at the course. We went to a first product, and then they say, why don't you find something that already sells well and then manufacture that? And we're like, great idea, let's do that. So researched and see green binoculars on Amazon are selling very well. And I was like, let's manufacture binoculars. And my wife was like, which color? I'm like, green. She's like, why green? Everyone's selling green. I'm like, because it sells well. There's a color that sells well. She's like, okay, it's weird, but whatever. So we manufactured like, I don't know, maybe 300 green binoculars, sent them to Amazon, like, and waited. Nobody was selling, nobody was buying them. Essentially, I did not understand at that point. There was like hundreds of green binoculars. Why would somebody buy mine? Even though our packaging was okay, but we didn't bring any value. It wasn't different. I think so. Even if we would make them orange, I think it would be even selling better because at least one person would like maybe orange instead of green. But really green. That was a good lesson to listen to the courses, but to have your sort of head in place and to understand that it's not always good and you need to think critically. And then we took that idea, we failed. I mean, I think they sold in during Christmas, and then we still made about okay, what happened at one point? They started selling. We're like, nice, we're gonna be millionaires, let's order some more. So we ordered 1,000 more units, and then we put like $10,000 of savings into that. And at some point the sales stopped. I guess it was maybe Christmas time, and somebody bought ours, or maybe our competitors out of stock, somebody were buying ours, I don't know why, but it stopped. So we were with 1,000 units and no sales. So like, okay, damn, now we're sort of in a bad place. So we started researching new product because we understood what we did wrong. And then we found the supplement, which was like for female sort of health supplement. And we combined two of the things together that was not there. And people are buying like one supplement plus another. So we combined them both in one pill to make it more efficient for people just to take one pill instead of buying two bottles. And this was good. We were started selling right away. Our binoculars, I think, sold out, but it took us like a year. So it's not really a good thing. And we sold out at cost, so probably made back maybe 6, 7,000 instead of 10 that we spent. And then essentially supplement went well. And then at some point, Amazon suspended us. They like, you're using some claims, because that's what they do also. Like, you need to be very, very careful. We didn't put anything bad. We didn't lie to anyone, but they thought that something we put there was a claim for a disease, which we did not. So when we had like discussion with them for like 6 months, and they would always say no. And then when they sort of opened it up, there were too many of them, competitors were in, and then we were not able to compete anymore. Which is a very sad story, because we're selling very well. And then we took all of this knowledge, we don't have to do claims, so do something new. And then we create a new product in supplement niche, and it was selling better, much better. And then now it sells about $100,000, one of them a year. So we took the same one, and then we made another variation of this. And this one was selling even better, but the margins were higher because it was stronger, and we could sell it. It was more expensive, essentially. So yeah, and now we are sort of at this point. We also started to creating a team around it to make sure that we're not working over and over again on all of this. There are people who support us, so I can focus on what I do best. My wife has a small child, because when we started traveling, our 1-year-old was 3 months old at that point. So I had a small child and started doing digital nomad thing at some point, where I realized we do have this Amazon business. It's sort of starting up okay. We still not making any money because we're reinvesting everything. And then at some point, I also have consultancy I do on the side. I help development teams to be better, and I do some IT work, but it's all can be done remotely. So we're like, why don't go and travel around the world? Because this is what I always wanted to do. And then we went and started traveling with the 1-year-old and the dog. We went to like Spain and France and Portugal and Latvia and Israel and Toronto, all those amazing Toronto, Canada, because we're from Vancouver. So all those amazing places. And then we're still on this journey. We've been here for 1 year and 2 months traveling around. Pandemic is harder. We want to go to Asia, but it's hard to get there. And yeah, so building a team, I do multiple things, about 3 things at the same time. So for me, systems are very important, so I can focus on one thing while other people help me with other stuff.
Great, man.
Yeah.
So you've covered a lot of ground, which is awesome. I want to unpack some of it. So you started off with drop shipping, and then you went to print on demand, and those two things kind of worked but didn't really take off. And I can relate to that because I did other things such as eBay and stuff like that, which worked. I mean, did about 50K in sales on eBay, but it just was such a hard slog to just keep creating those listings, and it was manual labor. So I can relate. And then you kind of landed on FBA, and you launched the binoculars, and you weren't really adding value to the market. So it just kind of made a bit of a loss, which is, I've done that before with some niches. And then you had this supplement. So the first kind of smash hit product you launched, the first one that really worked well, was this supplement where you combined 2 different things together. So was that the main thing that separated your product from the competition?
That's a great question. So I think what we realized we need to focus on a couple of things, and it's actually really good for anyone who's listening to focus on an important stuff. One, you need to be unique, but you don't have to have a totally unique product. Don't do that. Like, don't reinvent anything. So find what people already buying, but make it different angles. So unique. So we saw that people are buying this and that, and people searching on Amazon for this and that. We just combine it. And second thing we did that nobody else did at that point is to find who your audience is. So for us, audience are women with particular issues. I think it was pregnancy issues, something like that. So we made our packaging. I think it was really like pinkish, and there was like happy woman silhouette on it. So it was for women, because the other ones were just like, we're supplements, we're just like a medicine. So it would be like white and medical and nothing. So ours was, this is for women, and we were here. So we're like really special thing for you. If you're like, want to get pregnant, here's a special secret for you. So this is the vibe of the supplement. So we didn't make our bottle white. We made it, I think, amber color. So it's like more sort of like more homemade medicine or stuff like that. But it wasn't homemade. It was like a supplement. But the way we presented it was like, this is like your little secret for just for women. And this is like something that nobody else does.
So that's
So
amazing. So you said something there, which I don't know if people picked up on, but is the most important thing you've said so far, to me anyway, which was you dived in and found out who your audience was.
yeah,
So it's easy to forget that, yeah, we might be selling something on Amazon, which is relatively arbitrary. It could be the only thing that ever pops into my head when I'm thinking of products is a spatula, right? It could be a
yeah,
spatula, or it could be like a pair of binoculars, or it could be a supplement. And you might just think, well, yeah, I'm just selling this little thing that just sells and whatever.
yeah,
But the reality is, you have a group of people who are using that thing, and they're not just buying it for fun. Like, they're using it for a reason. Like, the people who bought the binoculars, who knows, they could be hunting, they could be world watching wildlife, they could be
yeah,
into, I don't know, I mean, who knows what they could be using. They're using it for something. So you figured out that these supplements were often used by pregnant women, and then all of a sudden, when you change your branding to, attract these people, your product then became like a magnet for the right audience. So how did you figure out that the supplement was being used by pregnant women?
well, first of all, reviews. There are a lot. I just went for reviews. We found that the supplement sells well, and then we knew that this particular one used for women are using it. So, and they had particular issues with getting pregnant. So we just looked for the reviews. We look at, and all the reviews were saying, "Oh yeah, I love that, but I'm buying this with that." Like most of the reviews were saying that to us. So we're like, okay, so this is women, they are probably trying to get pregnant because most of it were saying that, or they have this particular issue. And then, yeah, so reviews. But now, I mean, we're doing a little bit differently. So if I can add what we're doing now, which might be a good advice for people. So a couple of ways you can do it. Way number one would be is we're running a generic Facebook ad to any listing. So let's say I want to sell binoculars right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my competitor's binoculars that sells really, really well. I'm going to put a Facebook ad with their image. Then I'm going to say, whoever wants it, like comment, I want. Then I'm going to like spend $50 on that. People will like say, I want, I want, I want. Then Facebook will tell me who the audience is. You can break it down. It will say this people with this age, with this group, with this interest are buying this thing. So I spend $50 to find my avatar. Then the other thing I'll do, I'm going to go and look at the reviews again, and I'm going to find like what's the people are, what are they talking about? If it's a binoculars, bird watching, gifts, girls, boys, who are they buying it for? So they're going to combine it with that information as well. And then, yeah, I think this two things is good. I'm probably going to go also on like Pinterest and then type binoculars, like green binoculars, and see maybe it's going to pop up me pictures of people bird watching or something like that. So I'm going to go to different areas outside of Amazon and on Amazon and try to find like overall sort of view on who these people are. So this is some of the approaches you can use.
I love that, man. I love the Facebook ad idea. So literally just running an advert to somebody else's listing and just saying who
Yeah,
wants this, or just showing the picture and then seeing who comments, just saying like, comment below if you want this. Is
yeah,
that literally all you did?
yeah. And then the other trick, if you want to get those people as a buyers, and this is like more advanced, but I think people might enjoy that. I know many people do it. You find something that complements binoculars, for example, magnifying glass. Then you're pointing people to a magnifying glass. Some of them buy this magnifying glass, and then when you launch your binoculars, you're saying, you bought a magnifying glass. I have something else for you. Here's my binoculars.
So
So if you're really into just capturing these people and selling them something else, this might be a good way. The other way might be to point them to some website that pixel them, like Facebook Pixel allows you to retarget those people. And then they go from this website, maybe say put an email or whatever, and then they go to Amazon. This is another way you can do it. So there are many ways, but I try to keep it very, very simple because I want people who work with me to reproducibly, easily create this sort of ads on a scale. So for me, if they need to create a website, it takes a lot of time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I would just make them create a video for them. How can they create Facebook ad? What competitor they can find, and how they create the same ad, and that's it. So I try to keep
love
it
it.
very lean, I guess.
Mm.
But there are many ways people can do the same thing. So just trying to.
So clever. That's awesome, man. So I'm curious. So when you launched the product and you decided on this particular supplement, obviously you would have done some kind of analysis on the niche. So do you remember how competitive the niche was before you decided to launch the product? Do you remember how many reviews were on the listings? How many sellers had, say, more than 300 reviews, things like that?
I don't remember exactly, but I think it would be similar to what we're doing now. So it's not like I did not really change that algorithm that much. I would find keywords. For me, it's more important what people search for. So I would go to tool like Helium 10. I'm not affiliated with them, but I use the tool. Then I would put products of my competitors and let's say who are selling well. And there are a couple of guys who are maybe selling, I don't know, maybe $10,000 or something like that, because you can check that in the tool as well. So I'd put their products in, and then I would see what keywords are they ranking for, because people search in Amazon for keywords. They don't look for products, they look for keywords. Then they find a product that matches the keyword the best and they buy. Different, I guess, on Pinterest it will work probably differently, I don't know. But I know that Amazon is like a big search engine, so it's very, very important that the image matches whatever you're looking for. So I would look for 5 keywords, let's say, that will have medium demand. So it will be like maybe 1,000 to 5,000 searches. And then if I go and search for it, I would see that there are no one there who has like thousands of reviews. Nobody there who's just dominating that, or nothing is patented or trademarked, something like that. And then I would see, okay, is there any keywords that are not served yet? So let's say everybody's searching for this, let's say, pink binocular for girls. And then when I go there, they're only green binoculars, stuff like that. Or there's like bad pink binoculars. I know it. Okay, easy. I need to launch the best pink binoculars. There's nobody selling pink binoculars, but there are 5 keywords that prove me that people search for this. And then I'll just launch it this way. And this allows me not to care a lot about competition, because I just serve people what they need. And I think
Mm,
that's the best way to find it, because if you go and just type kids binoculars, you'll get like people with thousands of searches. But I don't care about this particular keyword. I might get ranked for it at some point, but I care for smaller ones. So I don't know, maybe find 10 keywords that are different for particularly very long tail keywords for specific thing. And then I'll see if this niche, sub niche, has a lot of competition, and then yeah, I'll rank for that. That makes
that,
sense.
that makes a lot of sense. So you're using the keyword search volume and then seeing if whatever that thing people are looking for that has demand
Yeah.
has available supply. Like someone else I spoke to recently has a brand in America, and they sell a weighted blanket. And they noticed that the weighted blanket is a very, very competitive niche. That there's lots of sellers offering weighted blankets. However, one keyword that had lots of volume was lavender weighted blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
there were some lavender color weighted blankets, but there weren't any scented weighted blankets that actually have lavender in them. So he offered the lavender weighted blanket, and his product does, I don't know, I can't remember what it was, something like 40 or 50K a month in sales. And it's because there was the demand there for that keyword, but no supply. So
Yeah.
that's a really awesome
Same thing. Yeah.
point.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a really good example. Yeah.
Mm. Cool. All right. So you're selling a supplement. So did you have to get ungated in or get approval to sell that product?
I think that's a misconception. I think if you listen to all those courses, they'll say you need to get, like supplements are gated. Some supplements are gated, but most of them are not. And before we do sell anything these days, we are also creating test listings. So we're testing if anything is wrong with it. And what we do is, and we also test for PPC, so to see what are the PPC numbers and how many impressions we get. So this is our new sort of way of launching stuff. We are, let's say I want to sell binoculars, I'm gonna go somewhere on Etsy, or Pinterest or anywhere, not on Amazon probably. I'm gonna buy, I don't know, 10 of those binoculars from there. I'm gonna send them to FBA, and then I'm going to test. I'm going to create a shitty listing. And Project Text, if you watched it from Helium 10, this is what they're talking about. It's called PPC testing. And I'm following that. And this also helps us a lot. So we're creating this listing just to see if it ranks. Because I created one supplement that had amazing demand. And then when I launched it, it wouldn't rank. I don't know why. So PPC would not work, nothing will work. And sometimes this is how you can check if you're gated or not as well. So what you do is you just create test listing, put a couple of them, send a couple of them to FBA, make a price really, really high so nobody buys it, see how many impressions PPC gets, and see if you get any issues with Amazon for a week or two. Do you get gated? Do they ask you for any certificates? Because for, let's say, toys, in 2 weeks, they'll say, where's my CPC certificate or something like that, Child Protect certificate. And then you're like, I don't have any. And then your product is done. So to check all of this, it's good to send like do something in this niche. Just see if you can rank, if you can if you're on a PPC, you can be on the first page and stuff like that. So that's why we do that. And it's a good way for everyone to test.
That's really smart. See, my strategy personally is I avoid categories where there might be gating. I avoid things like supplements and health and beauty and stuff, and go for maybe some of the easier categories where it's less likely to have those problems, like pets or home and kitchen. And
that's a good way as well.
Yeah, but this is really, really clever. So creating the listing before you even buy any stock, because that's the ultimate way to know, isn't it? If you can't create a listing and you need approval, then obviously you shouldn't buy the stock. Like that's what people do with arbitrage. It's like, can I sell this toy or whatever?
Yeah.
Let me try and list it. And also, yeah, if you can send in a few units, it's like with hazmat, are Amazon going to give you a hazmat review or not? Sometimes the best way is just to try and list something and see if it happens. So that's fascinating. Okay, so then you got suspended, right, for claims, and claims is a big thing in the supplement industry, not just for Amazon, but for any advertising on any platform. Like if you advertise on Google and you put claims, they're not going to like it. If you do it on Facebook, they're not going to like it. Governments don't like it when you make claims. So it's tough. So, I mean, how did you get unsuspended?
Yeah, that's a good question. And if was somebody starting out in this business, I would do what you said. I would not look at the supplements to start. They are lucrative, but there's so many ways that you can get in trouble. So I'm crazy. I just like problems apparently. And even me, for next products, we're not getting into supplements. Actually, I'm trying to get out of it because all of those issues, there are many more issues than that. But how did we get ungated is, essentially we said, we are not having any claims. They said, if you say so, you need to remove your product. We don't want to deal with you anymore. Like your product will never be reinstated. I even remember sending it to Jeff at Amazon.com or something like that. And somebody replied me like, oh no, you'll never get ungated. I mean, you'll never get your thing back. I was like, I think I will. So essentially what we did is at the end, we're like, we cannot fight anymore. So just remove the whole description and said, here you are. And they say, okay, here you go. Go back. Then what we did, we copied and pasted some description back and nothing. They didn't suspend it at all anymore. So it happened to us, I think, a couple times from this point. All we do every time now, it's bots. It's not really, so bots picking it up, and then people who are not really versed into the law, they're just trying to sort of be cool. I think that what happens, at least with us, because we removed it, the same people are happy, then we put it back, nobody were against it. So what we do is we hired a person to look at, I think it was an Upwork, we paid her $100, she looked at all our listing and see whether there was any claims. But there were none because we removed everything, because we tried for 6 months to get back. So essentially, yeah, we just make sure you don't have any claims, remove your everything, just put some fake text in, I don't know, something that just fake, or just remove it completely, save it, tell them I'm fine, I removed everything, and then just put it back. Or if you don't put it back, but we did because it was keyword optimized.
Yeah, and that's the best thing to do with Amazon a lot of the time, is because you've got to remember it's such a massive company now. They're about as competent as dealing with a government. Like, when you're dealing with a government, 90% of the people who work there are morons, right? They're not trained very well. They're like really just not knowledgeable people, and they don't like their jobs, right? It's the same thing with Amazon. Like you're speaking with people who are undertrained, underpaid, don't know what they're talking about. And quite often I find I can solve the problems myself quicker than their support. Like I had an issue recently with my sponsored ads account with Amazon. For some reason, there was like a notification along the top saying that my card was, I don't know, payment method doesn't work or whatever. And I messaged them and they said, okay, we're going to refer you to our internal team. We'll get back to you within 24 hours. 24 hours pass. I hear nothing, right? So I messaged them again. They said, okay, we're going to connect you with our internal team. Another 24 hours passed, nothing. So I kept nudging them and hearing nothing. And I thought, well, I bet you I can fix this problem myself without hearing this, magical,
Yeah.
probably non-existent internal teams reply. Changed my payment provider, my payment card on the Amazon marketplace myself, the one that you do on all the marketplaces, instantly fixed the problem,
Yeah.
and the ad account was restored. So sometimes you just have to just not wait for them and just do it yourself. And you're proof of that. So
And
now
if you do
carry
have a
on.
little money, I would really recommend you, I mean anyone, to hire somebody who in your team. We hire a person in the United States who is calling them, so you don't have to spend all your precious time calling them, because we found it just waste of time. It's
Mm,
complete waste of time. And if you value your time, you might as well better look for new products or do anything at all than do this, and it will pay right away up if somebody else could do that. Because I don't know how much it would cost and lost sort of potential profits for yourself if you calculate in a year how long do you speak on a on a phone with Amazon support. So we just made a decision, because my wife, everything what she was doing at some point was just on a call with them, and she would be really, really stressed out, and I would be like, it's not worth it, your stress. And there are people who are good with this. So we have this lady in the US, and all she does is most of the time she calls Amazon and just talk to them. Same as our suppliers. Some of them are like impossible to talk to, because they will always like give us those prompts. We get really pissed. But this lady, she's paid. She's not sort of invested, so she's not as stressed out about the business. So she's calmly calling them 5 times a day, asking questions. And I think that's one of the best hires we did so far, just because somebody solved this problem while we can focus on something else.
that's amazing. And I want to talk a little bit more about your team in a second, because it's really inspiring the way that you've structured it. But first, I want to go back to the final thing you mentioned. So you got unsuspended, and you launched another product, and then another product, and now you're doing. So you got 2 products doing 100K per year each, right? And you mentioned between say 15 to maybe 30K a month or something in sales? Is that so? Is that where you are now?
Yeah. I mean, we're getting better. Recently, we launched the third one, and right now we are about, I think we're approaching about 25, 30K. Before we're about sort of 15, 20, and now we're getting to 30K, which is hopefully 300,000 next year, or I actually planning to scale it to 1 million and then to 10 million. So we're planning to launch much more products next year. Just working on a system right now and trying to make a system as best as I can, and then just putting all the resources on there.
Love it. That's amazing, man. That's really inspiring. So, okay, so possibly 300K next year. Yeah, if you keep the run rate, you'll be on 360, right? So that's really exciting.
If I don't
So
launch any new products, I just want to say that.
yeah, if you keep it at the same level, right,
Yeah,
then it will
which
be
I'm not
there.
planning to do.
No,
Uh,
exactly. So, oh, by the way, what's the? Do you mind sharing the profit margin? I'm excited to hear.
yeah. So it varies, and different products have different profit margin, but for us, it's about 35% right now, net profit margin.
That's really strong, man. That's
We
really
are
strong.
buying one of our main products for $6 and selling it for 30.
Wow, that's
And
an amazing margin.
another one we're buying for, I think, 950. And I'm not a guy who deals with that part, so I might be wrong, but I have a tool that shows me profit margin, so I'm basing it on this. So one of them we're buying for 950 and selling it for 35 bucks. So I think 2 now products we're buying for about 9 to 11 and selling for 35, and one of them for, as I said, we're buying for 6 and selling for 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So let's talk about your team, because that really excites me. So if you could break down, like, so first of all, it was just you and your wife, is that right? And then you
Yes.
expanded. So
Yeah.
when did you decide, okay, we need someone else? And how did you kind of create a role for them
Hmm.
within the company?
So I would say that it was me and my wife, like, would say full-time people, or like we don't full-time because we both have other work, so like a side hustle, and still we have other things. But it's me and her who are like were involved on everyday basis. But then at some point we still realize there are things that we cannot do. Like I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and there are much more weaknesses than strengths. I'm really good at strategy and I'm really good at listening actively and sort of finding ideas. So if you would tell me something cool, I could sort of go through my brain and realize, okay, this is the way it will work and this is how I'll implement in my business, but I will never do the exact thing because I'm not as patient to go and implement all those strategies, but I can find someone who can do that. So I think my strength is finding the right people, partnerships, and strategy. So I just focus on this. I try not to focus on anything else. And probably product research, which I just enjoy doing. So I still cannot create the good standard operating procedure to do that because it changes all the time. And this is my biggest pain right now. So I'm trying to figure out the system. But essentially, it was two of us. And then, sorry, at some point, we did hire a designer because we didn't do any design. We did not do any key. At some point, we realized our copy is not as good. We hired copywriter, but they all are contractors per task. Then we hired a guy who does 3D imagery for us because for supplements you don't need photos, you just need 3D image. Actually, for everything these days, like if it's a simple thing, I recommend you do 3D mockup. So yeah, so we had these people all the time with us, but at some point we realized that okay, we can take money out of it, but if we out of the business, but we want to grow, we need to create a system. And I really believe that when you buy something, when you buy a business, you buy a system. You don't buy a business itself. Because if you have a good system that already works, that's amazing. But if I buy business, I have to work on it every day. It's terrible. And if you buy my business and you know nothing about my business, then you'll fail. If you buy my business, there are people around it, there are systems around it. You don't even need people. You just need standard operating procedures and systems, and you'll be fine. So at some point, we started thinking, okay, how does our system for Amazon looks like? So we went and we started creating a document, everything we do and how do we want it to be. And our idea is to have people on all the levels of this so they can do everything. And this is when we said, okay, what are the biggest pain points? What we spend much time on? Customer support, and the most stressed on customer support, calling Amazon, and dealing with suppliers, because we can negotiate stuff, we can find them, but then we have US suppliers, not Chinese. But then people say, oh, US is so easy, they speak your language. Really not. We had like, with our suppliers, they gave us like defective items, they delay every time. So it's really, really bad. That's why we're planning to get out of some of the products we do, just because suppliers aren't as good, and find something else. But essentially, we have person now who talks to them. So I will tell them, and I'll pay them money and say, we need 1,000 units, for example. And then I'll tell her, now make sure they do it. Call them every couple of days, like send them emails, talk to them, check it out, do testing. They send this person samples. This person looks at everything and stuff like that. If you have any issues, call Amazon. If customer have complaints, talk to the customer, reimburse it. Here's the strategy what you need to do. So this was a person in the United States who was doing all this. And at some point we realized that and this person is about $20 an hour, and this person works for us maybe 10 hours a week. So it's not a lot, but I think it's totally worth it, like 100%, because if there's no complaints or something, she's not working. So we're not paying her like per hour she doesn't work. It's pretty cool. So if we have issue, she solves an issue, we pay her. Amazing. Hire her on Upwork. We hire her on Upwork. So then we realized there are tasks that are sort of more repetitive, does not require somebody who speaks well English, just somebody who can, let's say, do some keyword research, do some, I don't know, keyword optimization, look at PPC and look at our ACOS, create some test listings, create some tests like Facebook ads tests, stuff that's just simple. So we decided maybe $20 an hour is too expensive for a person in US. Person doesn't have to be in US. So we hired the guy in somewhere. I don't know. I hired these people, but then my wife takes care of this. So I don't know where he's from. I don't really talk to him, but she communicates with him every day. So this guy, amazing. He's very detail oriented. He's either from Asia or from somewhere else. So he's much cheaper. He's about $8 to $10 an hour, which is still really good for this region. But for us, it saves a lot of money. So he's doing like he's everything that you need to write, everything that you need to sort of research, he's doing. So yeah, so and then he operates with this lady who is like, if this lady also needs something that like talks to on the phone and she needs something, let's say reply to a review or something like that, he can do that as well. So he supports her and she sort of mentors him as well. My wife oversees that. So we have these two people, and yeah, it's working very well. So then I also have one buddy of mine who helps with PPC. He has an agency and he looks at some of my PPC. He gives me some advice and stuff like that. So he takes care of this. Um, we have a copywriter who is on a sort of contract basis, and designers on a contract basis, copywriter on a contract basis. So essentially, all of this get handled. But very important thing is that everything is created with standard operating procedures. And I record everything I do. So I need to research a product, I record it. Let's say yesterday I create SOPs, which is standard operating procedures, how to source on Alibaba. So we are trying to use sourcing areas, but sometimes we also do search on Alibaba. So I created the whole procedure. I did it once. I recorded how I do it, how I reply to everyone. So I found one product. I gave them spreadsheet, who's going to do it, and I gave them videos. I don't need to do it ever again. People are doing it. And then if something changes, is people are recording their own SOPs. So I always say, if something changed, record an updated one. See how I did it. And because I have videos for everything, at least for most of it, these people are taking care of the business while I can focus on research new products, talk to you, and build this business and yeah, share some ideas.
Awesome. Yeah, SOPs is so key.
Yeah.
Just having, sometimes it can be a video. So, you know, I've done videos quite often with like Camtasia or whatever, where I just kind of talk through what I'm doing. Sometimes it can just be a document with just like step 1, click this, step 2, do this, step 3, step 4. As long as it's like really simple and like anyone could just read it and implement it,
Yeah.
then yeah, it just makes life so much easier. Cool. All right.
100%.
Well, it's awesome hearing about your journey. I'm really looking forward to hitting 10 million. And so I hear that's the topic of your podcast. Is that right? Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah. So essentially how the podcast came about is I was talking, my wife is my sort of business partner. So I was always talking to her about Amazon and she's like, maybe we should talk about other stuff. You know, we're a family. Why don't we not talk about Amazon? I'm like, but who am I going to talk to Amazon about? I like to talk about entrepreneurship so much. She's like, well, find some friends. And we travel a lot. So it's hard to like go and find friends everywhere. So like, okay, I need to do something about it. And then I'm like, you know, I need accountability as well, because I really want to make sure that whatever I do, I keep myself accountable. So how do I combine those two? And about 6 months ago, the idea came about to create a podcast. And the podcast is called 10 Million Journey, where I record how I scale my business. And then I also interview people who are several steps ahead. Some of them are making hundreds of millions of dollars. Some of them making just millions of dollars. Some of them maybe just good at some things like building teams or like managing VAs, anything. And I would invite those people. I would talk to them. I would pick up their brain, everything they do. And then I would ask them, what advice can they give me? I'm at this stage of my business. Give me some advice. And then they would. And I do have a big network because I visit all those conferences and I talk to people. So I know people in the industry and they sort of refer me to other people. And then I have access to more people who are really knowledgeable on this kind of things. So some of my episodes are just, this is the business update. This is my profit margin. This is how much I made. This is my system. So I think this actually week comes up my system. So how the whole system look like? I go step by step from like searching product to launching product. And then one episode a week is a longer, like what we do right now, longer episode when I ask people, how do you find products? Or if you're in wholesale, like how do you find distributors? Or some people are not in Amazon space, like entrepreneurs. How do you start it? What are the secrets? What do you recommend? If you just had $5,000 and will start again, what would you do? So ask all those provocative questions, and they would share their stories. And yeah, I would just share with people. So
Awesome. So 10 million journey. So you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, all those places. Is that right?
Yeah, or just go to 10millionjourney.com, 10 the letter 10, 1 and 0, and then yeah, you'll there are links to everything, so you can check it out.
Perfect. All right, guys. So definitely go check out Anatoly's podcast. It sounds awesome. Sounds like the type of podcast I'd be interested in as I'm scaling
Amazing.
both my companies. So yeah, that's amazing. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for your time today. It's been really, really cool catching
Thank
up.
you.
And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate your time, and hopefully there is some value there. So if somebody want to talk to me about any of that, just go to at 10 million journey Instagram. Just send me a message, and we can chat further. My doors are open.
Awesome. Cool. There you go, guys. Open invitation. All right, man. Thanks
Yeah.
so much. And yeah, we'll catch
Thank
up
you.
soon.
Yeah, catch up soon.